Hello everybody, Ricky here and welcome to SBN News, and I am back after a long hiatus. Don't know if I'm going to be coming back regularly to this channel, but I did come back because this is a topic that is really close to my heart personally, because I like video games. I don't play a big spectrum of video games, but as someone who, I also have my own personal sort of thing when it comes to them as well, and especially the idea that really you can kind of see I'm getting angry with this topic, that, you know, certain publishers, certain companies that develop games trying to stop consumers from actually accessing them the way they should. So this video is going to be about the topic of Stop Killing Games. Stop Killing Games is an organisation. Actually, I've got the website up. I'll just show you what organisation is about. Here is the website for Stop Killing Games, and it says right here, Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to consumers, or customers even. An increasing number of video games are sold effectively as goods, with no stated expiration date, but designed to be completely unplayable as soon as support for the game publisher ends. Or in the worst case scenario, the publisher in question, this is just my self-insert, the publisher in question gets shut down for some reason, either because it's bought out by another organisation, or for any reason so forth, the organisation shuts down because of maybe financial troubles or whatever. Telltale Games, which is a game studio more into, you might have heard of Telltale Games if you've ever played a lot of story-driven games like The Walking Dead. Telltale's The Walking Dead, for instance, is a good example of these sort of games. Telltale at one point in time did actually shut down because it lost funding and stuff. It's returned, it's back, but there was a long period of time where people did worry about what's going to happen to the games and stuff. But this also adds to the whole thing with Stop Killing Games. So it says right here, publisher ends, this practice is a form of planned obsolescence and is not only detrimental to customers, but makes preservation effectively impossible. Furthermore, the legality of this practice is largely untested in many countries. Over the past year, we have successfully escalated the complaints on this problem to consumer agencies in France, Germany, and Australia, and have brought forth petitions for new law on this problem to various countries. A list of the actions taken to date can be viewed here, which we will take a look at this in just a bit. As of 2025, most consumer action on this matter has concluded. We are awaiting decisions from several governments. However, there are a few remaining avenues left for people can participate if they are eligible. Now, in the European Union, this has actually escalated since the last time I took a look at this. It is now at 898131. It was at the halfway point. I did not know for a while that this was actually going to succeed, but there's obviously been enough people talking about this before me, that is, to get this to this point, because, as I say, this was like barely cutting 500k. So the fact that it's actually 89% now is just, they're making headway, I will say. I'm going to show you something that makes me happy though. I'm going to just flip over the screen and I'm going to show you this. So there's a link to several petitions, because this is only for the EU. Just to reference, the EU, the UK where I live, left the EU back in 2016. No, it was 2018 actually, with Brexit, and we've long been departed from the EU. But we have our own version of the Stop Killing Games sort of petition idea, alright? So we have our own version of the petition for the UK as well, and I can happily say for us UK residents, okay, so it says right here, petition, it's passed. The petition needs 100,000 to get there, and we're 115 rounded up to. So, whoa, that is insane. So I'm actually excited about that personally, and it does say right here, if I flip the screen back over, I might just read it here. So it says, Parliament will consider this for debate. Parliament considers all petitions that get more than 1,000 signatures for debate, waiting for less than a day for a debate date. Government responded. This response was given on the 3rd of February. This is going back a time. There are no plans to amend UK consumer law on this, but it seems as though this has changed only recently. But okay, let me just put the screen back on here. This is the petitions map. Okay, so of course I've signed this petition, and we can, if we zoom in right here, a lot of the stuff that's darker red is where a majority more of the population have actually had their say on the whole thing. Shame on you, Aberdeenshire. It's really gotten up on the leagues, and it's really dark in some of the lower parts of Scotland, which is where I'm from. That is awesome. Right, so I'm just going to close these, and this is why it's so important. I'm going to just change over to this page right here. This is a document. This is a web page by Game History, the Video Game History Foundation, and it says 87% missing, the disappearance of classic video games. New study reveals most classic video games are completely unavailable. And I'm just going to continue reading down here. I will leave a link to all of these pages in the description of the video when I make this video public. It says right here, the Video Game History Foundation, in partnership with the Software Preservation Network, has conducted the first ever study on the commercial availability of classic video games. And the results are bleak. 87% of classic video games released in the United States are critically endangered. Imagine if the only way to watch Titanic was to find a used VHS tape and maintain your own vintage equipment so that you could still watch it. And what if no library, not even the Library of Congress, could do any better? They could keep and digitize VHS of Titanic, but you'd have to go all the way there to watch it. It sounds crazy, but that's the reality we live in with video games. $180 billion industry where the games and their history disappear. What really frustrates me about this whole topic is there are a bunch of people out there who are just like, who cares? And that really stings, because you have to keep in mind, yeah, there's going to be games that I don't like. There's not going to be video games out there that you don't like. But at the same time, you have to consider the idea that these games are all made by someone. Doesn't matter how good or how bad they are. They were made by someone. They were made by a group of people. They were made by organizations that have come and gone. And a lot of video games, they would bring in technologies. There would even be, in some cases, some games would even be the games that actually bolster technologies to actually get them to work properly. 3D engines and actually, you know, taking code and stuff and getting them to work and stuff, even the first Pong and stuff. Video games have been quite innovative in how they get the tech that are used to make them, how they utilize them in certain ways, and even go as far as, in some cases, some video games actually are the causes of some inventions to occur, or adaptations in hardware and software, in order to get us to a state where we can actually work on that sort of thing. AI, for instance. Don't get me started on AI. There's certain types of AI which I'm really kind of not really keen on. Generative AI, as an example, and this comes from someone who has messed with Gemini before, Gemini and ChatGPT before. Yes, but AI has been a thing in games since the very beginning, and there's a lot of innovative ways that AI has been implemented to, you know, expand on a story, actually get the gameplay into working order and stuff. Stings is, especially if you spend lots and lots of money on stuff, is, you know, there's always a debate on ownership. You know, and there's even a motto out there, you know, if piracy isn't stealing, or if buying isn't ownership, piracy isn't stealing. And it can't be any more personified within this situation within video games. There's a lot of publishers, including publishers like Nintendo, who, if you even try to even make a fan game of any of their games, they're immediately just like, shoot it down. And in some cases, the only way to legally play some of Nintendo games is to either own the original console, for instance, a GameCube or N64, or the original Game Boy, or pay a subscription for a very not on par streaming service, effectively, to play their games through a server. But if you want to try emulating them, you really need to have a really good dig, because Nintendo have been going after emulation websites, ROM sites, and most Nintendo branded games are just nowhere to be found. And it is a prerogative at the end of the day, but it's a real sting and a real sort of just like F you to anyone who has ever wanted to play their games and stuff. And this is the same for most of these publishers. Especially if you've ever put any money aside for games and then just suddenly, say for instance, a game that's, you know, that you can only access through online play only. If that game gets shut down any day soon, however much money you could have paid $1 into it, you could have paid $1,000 into it over time, buying cosmetics and stuff. It's Fortnite. What if Fortnite gets shut down tomorrow? I can hear a lot of people watching this saying, "Yay, I would love that." That is missing the point. People who have played the game either enjoy it for whatever reason, have paid money into it to customize their avatar. They've unlocked certain things through cosmetics and stuff. So there's a value to that, and you just lose that if the game decides it, or if Epic like shuts down, or the game shuts down, and you've lost all of that effort, all of that money that's went to waste. And then in some cases, what's also went to waste is the time and effort that developers have put in to getting that, you know, material working, whether it's digital material or whatever. And it comes to other games as well. It's like, you know, why begrudge the ability for someone to play your game even if it's no longer available? I am a Sims player, and this has only been foreseen recently with a very, very old game, and I'm actually going to look it up. Alright, so I'm going to change over the screen again. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you Friezo, or FreeSO, the Free Sims Online. Friezo has now been shut down, you can see right here, but Friezo is a fork, and an open source fork, and I think it's an open source, of the online version of The Sims. Around 2002, I think it was, EA and Maxis created an online version of The Sims 1 that you could play with friends, you know, through LAN internet, and, you know, just general internet and, you know, connectivity and stuff. And the original game for that shut down in 2008. Also add that in as well, there's also been other games, like things like Facebook games, for instance. I don't know if any of you ever remember playing Facebook games, but a lot of those have been lost to time because they got shut down. The Sims Social, for instance. Things like Petville, I think the game is. A game I used to play, Restaurant City. I think Restaurant City's been actually remade by a fan group. But this is an example of this sort of stuff where you just lose these games to time. And Friezo is an example of this. If it wasn't for having the original game files available, Friezo, which is a re-implementation of the Sims 1, the Sims online platform, wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the code or some baseline code of the game being made public through CDs, the purchase of CDs. And this is being lost because a lot of games are being online, are being enabled, thanks to the internet as well, by the way. Most people, when you buy a CD or a DVD for a game now, you'd be lucky if even a kilobyte or a megabyte of that game is actually on the disc. In most cases, the few megabytes or the few gigabytes are on the disc as verification information, and probably not even the newest version of the game, because even then publishers will also release a version of the game that is not actually the RTM release of the game, or the release of manufacturing version of the game. Are you familiar with the whole concept of day one patches? They can be from, you know, a few megabytes to gigabytes in size, and that's because in some cases what's being shipped is a very, very broken, buggy version of the game, and an update patch is being released alongside the game. So even then, you're not even getting 100% of the game on its own. So if the game shuts down, if it's an online game and the platform shuts down, the thing about Friezo is most of the game's material was on the CD. So the Friezo team were able to take the Sims Online and, you know, put it together. I don't know how they actually put it. I'm not actually too sure. I'm simplifying it right now based on stuff I have read about what they've done. Taking files from the CD, making it all public, and even making their own custom content for the game as well. And what I like about what the Friezo team are doing is they're actually planning to release an archived version of the game that you can download for like a LAN party, for instance, and it's going to be on the time, just going to be the full server that you can download and play with. And I will say, though, the few times we actually want to shout out Electronic Arts, a more than usual mention now. Thank you to EA for allowing this project to exist without any kind of legal battle. So, yeah, I do apologise for this sort of like ramble that I've just started going into, but it is really, it's sort of like a personal thing for me, because it's just like, it does kind of like annoy me in a certain way where there's people that don't care. There is more than enough people who care about this topic. The petitions are doing pretty well. But I do also recommend that if you haven't already done so, if you're in the EU right now, sign that petition. If you're in the UK, bolster that number up even though it's passed. Yeah, that's basically what I was wanting to say is, if video games are an ongoing sort of like art form and stuff, I'm going into territory which might sound a little bit sort of high almighty sort of stuff, but I do apologise, but it does get to the point. Trying to get to the point here. They're an art form. They've been created by people for people. And in most cases, a lot of fans do enjoy playing them. But there's a risk right now in losing all these games to time. And it's even made worse by a lot of game developers who make it worse for being able to access these games. In some cases, keeping the source files for the games behind lock and key, never been able to allow you to actually access them. And it's even made worse when some games are released, single player games that don't actually need to be online access to play them. The servers come offline and the game cannot function without the online servers. Why is this a thing? Why is it a thing that you cannot play these games anymore without an online connection? Why do I need to rely on someone else's server? That's another thing as well. I have good internet right now, but I am one person. If you have good internet right now, you are also one person or one family, one household. There are still many people around the world who do not have the best internet connection, and when most of the game's assets are on a server, you just want to play with your friends, that can really destroy the fun. I really do hope, personally, that the Stop Killing Games initiative gets somewhere. It's gone somewhere in the UK, but I still think that the petition could do with a bolstered amount of votes and stuff. And Stop Killing Games, I really hope to see the EU do something about it as well, because I don't want any more of these games to be lost to time. And I think even the Video Game History Foundation actually have examples of games that have been lost to time. No, I don't think they actually do, which is sad. But anyways, I will leave a list of these sites I've just presented in this video today for you to read and actually take a look at the Stop Killing Games website itself, and have you add your own name to the petition and stuff and get that running. Because I don't want to see any more games being lost to time. I want people to be able to access their games. I'm pretty sure you want to be able to access the games that you've purchased. Whether the games get shut down or not tomorrow, you still want to be able to play them, don't you? So do I. So do billions of other people. And these game developers should not be allowed to just close off the ability to access these games in the event. Because it will happen. Games like Fortnite, games like Overwatch, games like Counter-Strike, there will come a day where these games are replaced and the original source code will be lost to time if something isn't done. Because for the most part, any games that are publicly released, like open source or whatever, it's being done on the possible goodwill of the corporation, not a legal requirement. And it should be a legal requirement, I think, especially for history's sakes. History should be preserved, whether it's media or anything else. But that's all for me today. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, stay safe, take care, and hopefully on this channel I'll see you for the next content I put out. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. I will probably get back to make new content on this channel in the future, but until next time, that's all from me.